The average American pays $133 a month for subscriptions. That's $1,600 a year for things they don't own. Netflix, Spotify, Adobe Creative Cloud, Office 365, cloud storage, streaming services, software that used to sit on a disk you bought once now costs you every month. Forever. And 42% of consumers are currently paying for subscriptions they've forgotten about entirely. Money leaving their accounts for services they don't even use. This is the financial historian, where money, power, and history collide. And nothing is ever as simple as it looks. Ownership isn't dying by accident. It's being systematically replaced. By 2025, the subscription economy is worth $3 trillion globally. It's grown 435% over the last decade, and it's accelerating. Companies discovered that renting you access is far more profitable than selling you products. Because when you own something, the transaction ends. When you subscribe, the transaction never stops. But here's the deeper truth. The shift from ownership to access isn't just about business models. It's about power, about who controls the things you depend on. And once ownership disappears, you don't just lose possessions, you lose autonomy. To understand how we got here, you need to go back to 2016. That's when the World Economic Forum published an essay by Danish politician Ida Auken titled, "Welcome to 2030. I own nothing, have no privacy, and life has never been better." The essay imagined a future where products become services, where nobody owns cars, homes, or appliances, where everything is rented, shared, or delivered on demand. And the WEF promoted it as a vision of sustainability and efficiency, a world freed from the burden of ownership. The phrase went viral, not because people loved it, because it terrified them. "You'll own nothing and be happy" became shorthand for a dystopian future where corporations and governments control everything and individuals control nothing. The WEF later clarified that this was just a thought experiment, not a policy goal. But the reaction revealed something important. People understand instinctively that ownership is freedom, and losing it means losing control. And whether intentional or not, that future is already here. Not because of a global conspiracy, because the economics work. Consider software. In 2010, you bought Microsoft Office for $150. One payment. You owned it. You could use it forever. In 2011, Microsoft launched Office 365, now called Microsoft 365. Monthly subscription, $7 per month for individuals, $84 per year. After 2 years, you've paid more than the old one-time price. After 10 years, you've paid $840 and you still don't own it. Stop paying and it stops working. Adobe followed the same path. Photoshop used to cost $700. Expensive, but permanent. In 2013, Adobe moved to Creative Cloud. Now it's $60 per month, $720 per year. Over 10 years, that's $7,200 for software you'll never own. And if you stop subscribing, every file you created in proprietary Adobe formats becomes harder to access. Your work is held hostage by the subscription. This model has spread everywhere. Cars, John Deere tractors that farmers can't repair without dealer authorization. With Tesla vehicles that charge monthly fees to unlock features already built into the car you purchased. BMW tried charging $18 per month to enable heated seats already installed in your car. They backed down after backlash, but the message was clear. Ownership is optional, access is rented, even physical goods are becoming subscriptions. Peloton sells you a $1,495 bike, then charges $44 per month for access to classes. Without the subscription, the bike is an expensive stationary object. HP launched Instant Ink in 2013. You don't buy ink cartridges, you subscribe to Pages. The printer monitors your usage and ships ink automatically. Stop paying, and the printer disables the cartridges. Even if they still have ink, the numbers are staggering. The subscription economy reached $593 billion in 2024. By 2028, it will hit $996 billion. By 2033, projections exceed $1.5 trillion. North America leads with 38.2% of the global market, and the business-to-business segment, companies selling subscriptions to other companies, accounts for 55.2% of revenue. This isn't just about consumer streaming services. It's embedded in the infrastructure of the economy. And once you're locked in, escape is expensive. Research from Zora shows that subscription businesses grew 16.5% annually between 2012 and 2024. The S&P 500 grew 4.8%. Subscription models are more than 3 times more profitable because recurring revenue is predictable. Investors love it. Wall Street rewards it. And customers, even unhappy ones, rarely cancel. The average monthly churn rate for subscriptions is 4.1%. And that means 95.9% of subscribers stay, month after month, year after year. But the real transformation isn't financial, it's legal. When you bought software on a CD, you owned a copy. You could install it on any computer. You could sell it. You could keep it forever. When you subscribe, you own nothing. You license access, and that license can be revoked. Terms can change. Prices can increase. Features can disappear. You have no rights, just a monthly bill. This shift is codified in end-user license agreements, the terms you never read but always accept. Those agreements don't grant ownership. They grant temporary revocable permission. Section 3.2 of most OLAs states that the software or service can be modified or discontinued at any time. You pay, they control, and it gets worse. Right to repair laws, aimed which should protect ownership, are being eroded by software locks. In 2024, Oregon became the first state to ban parts pairing, a practice where manufacturers use software to prevent third-party repairs. Apple, John Deere, and medical device companies all use this tactic. You buy the hardware, but the software inside it remains theirs. And if you try to fix it yourself, the software detects unauthorized parts and disables the device. Colorado followed in 2024 with the broadest right to repair law in the nation, covering electronics, appliances, HVAC systems, and e-bikes. It goes into effect January 1st, 2026. New York, California, Minnesota, and Massachusetts have similar laws, but enforcement is weak. Companies find loopholes. Apple, for example, publicly supports right to repair legislation while designing hardware that's nearly impossible to fix. Batteries glued in, components soldered together, proprietary screws. They comply with the letter of the law while violating its spirit. The result is planned obsolescence by design. Devices that can't be repaired must be replaced, and replacement means new subscriptions, new licenses, new monthly fees. The cycle never ends. This is the subscription trap, and it's not limited to technology. Housing is next. Blackstone, the world's largest private equity firm, spent $60 billion buying single-family homes between 2012 and 2022. They don't sell them, they rent them. Corporations now own over 574,000 single-family rental homes in the United States. In some markets, institutional investors own 20% of available housing. They're not buying homes for people to own. They're converting ownership into permanent rent. Home ownership rates in the United States peaked at 69.2% in 2004. By 2024, it dropped to 65.6%. Millennials and Gen Z are the first generations in American history less likely to own homes than their parents. Not because they don't want to, because they can't afford to. Median home prices have risen 47% since 2019. Wages haven't kept pace, so they rent. Forever. The same pattern is playing out with cars. Vehicle ownership among Americans aged 18 to 34 dropped from 73% in 1983 to 66% in 2023. Ride-sharing apps like Uber and Lyft provide access without ownership. Car subscriptions, where you pay monthly for access to a vehicle rather than buying it, grew by 200% between 2020 and 2023. Yet companies like Volvo, Porsche, and BMW offer subscription services. You pay, you drive, you never own. Even food is becoming subscription-based. Meal kit services like HelloFresh and Blue Apron generated $20 billion in revenue in 2024. Grocery delivery subscriptions from Instacart, Amazon Fresh, and Walmart Plus convert one-time purchases into recurring fees. You used to buy food. Now you subscribe to it. The philosophical shift is profound. For most of human history, ownership was the foundation of independence. You owned land. You owned tools. You owned your home. That ownership gave you security, autonomy, the ability to survive without permission from anyone else. Subscriptions invert that relationship. Now you need permission, monthly. And if you stop paying, access disappears. This is what Ida Auken's essay missed. How she imagined convenience, clean energy, abundance. But she glossed over the power dynamic. In her 2030, nobody owns anything because everything is free and accessible. But in reality, when you own nothing, someone else owns everything. And that someone decides the terms. The World Economic Forum insists it has no agenda to eliminate ownership. The phrase, "you'll own nothing and be happy," was taken out of context, they say. But context doesn't matter when the trend is undeniable. Ownership is being replaced, not by government mandate, by market forces, by software, by subscription economics that are simply more profitable than selling products. Here's the paradox. Consumers choose this. Nobody forces you to subscribe to Netflix or Spotify. You do it because it's convenient, affordable, better than the alternative. For $15 a month for unlimited music beats buying CDs at $20 each. $10 a month for unlimited movies beats renting DVDs at $5 each. The subscriptions make sense, individually, but collectively they add up. The average American now has 12 paid subscriptions. That's just entertainment and media, which represents only 34% of the subscription economy. Add software, cloud storage, fitness apps, meal kits, and transportation, and the number climbs higher. You're not just renting entertainment. You're renting your entire life. And once the infrastructure shifts to subscriptions, opting out becomes impossible. Try running a business without Microsoft Office or Adobe. Try working remotely without Zoom or Slack. Try competing without cloud storage or project management software. You can't. The tools of modern life are subscription only. And if you refuse to pay, you're excluded. This is the Great Reset, not a conspiracy, a transformation. From an economy where people bought things and kept them to an economy where people rent access and own nothing. It's more efficient for corporations, more profitable for investors, and more precarious for everyone else. Because when ownership dies, so does independence. You become dependent on continued access, on continued approval, on continued payment. And the moment you can't pay, everything you depend on disappears. Your software stops working. Your files become inaccessible. Your car won't start. Your home isn't yours. That's not freedom. That's serfdom with a monthly billing cycle. If this gave you a new perspective, hit subscribe. History has the answers. I'll show you where to look.